Well, to our top story today, Jersey Airport has seen the strongest gusts at 93 miles an hour overnight as Storm Ciarán batters the coast of the United Kingdom and the Channel Islands.
That's right, a major incident has been declared in Hampshire and on the Isle of Wight, with warnings that Storm Ciarán could pose a risk to life.
The Met Office has issued an amber warning for wind and multiple yellow warnings throughout the day.
Schools and airports across the Channel Islands will shut down today as they brace for some of the worst weather conditions in 36 years.
But the wild weather certainly isn't isolated to the south. Northern Ireland has already faced heavy flooding, with some rivers bursting their banks as the storm approached.
So joining us now are two of our reporters live from the eye of the storm. Jeff Moody is in Devon. Meanwhile, Dougie Beattie is live for us in Portadown. Let's start with you, Jeff. Where are you and what's the weather like?
Well, I'm here on Instow Beach in North Devon, and we really are at the eye of the storm at the moment. Just have a look out to sea. There's a rowing boat that is just about to go under. We've been watching it for the last hour, and it's not in a good condition. Somebody's going to turn up in a few days and wonder what's happened to their boat. But you can see it really is rough. The winds are really picking up here, and heavy torrential rain. We've seen all sorts of problems over the West Country where the storm really is centering at the moment. We're now hearing that there are 10,000 homes in Cornwall that are now without power. 10,000 power cuts across Cornwall, and that's expected to rise as we go through the day. As you said earlier on, there's an emergency alert in Southampton, in Hampshire, and in parts of the Isle of Wight too, as the storm really begins to kick in. And we're hearing in southern Devon, in Teignmouth, a car was washed out to sea in the middle of the night. The RUC is saying, whatever you do, try not to drive. Try to stay in, certainly avoid coastal paths for very obvious reasons. These waves are really picking up very, very fast, very, very quickly. And also they're saying to avoid rural roads because the damage, the danger of trees falling is really severe. And because this time of the year the trees still have leaves, and those leaves are soaking wet after days and days of rain, that means that the trees are even more vulnerable of falling into the road. Southern Rail has said try not to travel as best you can, and we're hearing that many schools have decided to close. Many schools made that decision last night and said, look, let's make the decision, let's make that call early. Some of them said they're waiting until this morning to decide what to do. But looking at the weather now, most schools, I think, down here in the southwest will be closed today. We're being told that this storm could go on for several days, but I will be here throughout the day for GB News, reporting on the storm from Instow Beach in northern Devon.
OK, thank you. Dougie Beattie is in Portadown. Looks a little calmer where you are, Dougie.
Yes, Bev, definitely no high winds here, but there has been constantly days and days of rain. And what has happened is that sodden ground that has washed it on down into the rivers. And of course, those rivers have now burst their banks. Yesterday, it was the Clonroy River in Newry that flooded the centre of Newry out, causing thousands of pounds worth of damage to homes and businesses. This morning we wake up to find that the River Bann behind me, and I'm standing in the car park where most people would have left their cars to go to the train to travel into Belfast and other areas around Northern Ireland, and they've came back to find their cars underwater. Well, really you have to ask the question, why is this flooding happening? And really it comes down to two or three different issues. Number one, planning, the constant building that is on floodplains, and that's obviously squeezing the water further on down. It has to come out somewhere. And number two is really we have to look at the environmental side of this, especially in around those people that don't want shucks or drains, as they be called in England, in farmers' fields to be cleaned out because of rare newts, etc., that might be in them. And of course then there's a single farm payment. How much of that is given to farmers to maintain their lands? I mean, I was just hearing learning the other day that this new policy coming out is offering £3 for farmers to cut 100 metres of hedges, and probably even less to clean out those vital drains. And what's happening is that water is backing up onto the land and then coming into the rivers in a deluge, of course, when those drains are so clogged up, and it is causing this flooding to happen, and it is causing thousands of pounds worth of damage to homes and businesses. And of course that will come out in all our insurance policies within the next year, and many here don't even have insurance because they live in areas that have already been flooded once, and they find it very, very hard to get that cover to protect their homes and insurance and livelihoods, and it is causing a problem. And we will be here throughout the day to have a look at what's happening with the clean-up operation.
OK, thank you so much, Dougie. Dougie Beattie there in Portadown. Now, forgive me, and particularly if your house is flooded, I understand it is very difficult under those circumstances. But why aren't the grids being cleaned out? That's part of the reason for these floods.
Yep.
They're full of leaves and mud and dirt.
But also, why are we not going to work because it's raining? Why are we encouraging people to stay at home? Any excuse not to work in the office or the building or the factory. I mean, we used to struggle to work come what may, didn't we?
Weak.
Yeah.
Getting weak.
We are, but it's any excuse.
Let us know if we're being a little bit too cynical.